Hello, my dear Dino friends. Today we are looking at quite a long gameplay of almost 4 hours, raw footage. And our good friend Smill is at the start again who wanted to grow a Giga. As a loyal companion, I have of course offered to help with the waxing. And here we are. New day, new luck. Of course, I didn't get into the server for 26.5 light years at first. But then I bravely set off to Waystone's smile to me. He had already started to grow out the Giga. But on the way, the battle timer suddenly went off. Wonderful, I thought. What kind of timing is this again? I need 5 minutes to get there, and then some kiwi shell starts attacking my friends again. At first I thought that Smile had survived, but unfortunately, the two Karchs found him again and ended his young life. Well, I was on my way to the Waystone anyway, but it was still a bitter setback. Being so young as a carny is as much of a joy as the flower challenge in the middle of Grand Plains when you're an Apa of juvie age. Finally united, here comes the rather boring part for you, the questing. But first, we two milk buns have to get out of here. I'm certainly not serving my child on a silver platter for hungry carnivores. So off we go on our journey. We decided on Burned Forest. Because the bridge to Desolated Pass is missing, most people lack the motivation to travel to these POIs at all. If they do, then only to the Waystone in the savannah. Of course, that doesn't mean that you'll never meet anyone, but the chances are lower. But then, steps. Of course there were two Karchs. What else could there be? They were probably the same ones that ended Smill's life before, and they just followed the trail out of fear and desperation until they found us. But joking aside, what are the chances of meeting exactly two Karchs in such a god-forsaken place? So, we did the only right thing. We snuck away. Unfortunately, Smill started questing again and again. Maybe I should have written that making noises isn't the best idea right now. I mean, come on, you just died. Don't make it so hard for me to keep you alive. So we crept on, and then made our way to Rainbow Hills. I'll spare you the annoying server reset, and we'll go straight back in. Unfortunately, we were in the unfortunate position of being on the verge of starvation, and so we tried to feed ourselves with critters. Anyone who plays a carny knows that's not easy, and of course, there are very few critters to be found. When I'm here as Peichi, I'm literally overrun. Unfortunately, the search for food meant that questing fell by the wayside, and the gameplay dragged on endlessly. I know many of you will enjoy dancing along the precipice of insanity while trying to survive and raise a child at the same time, but I can say this, I rather enjoyed it less. Unfortunately, you can also see from the hunger meter that the constant hunting and eating of critters did absolutely nothing. But as I said, there's hardly anyone out and about in this part of Gondwa. At most, we would find a baby, where I would be too sorry, or the two Karchs. Not such great prospects. And so we slowly but surely made our way towards the savannah. Suddenly, young Gigas. However, our sneak and surprise attack turned out to be a total failure. And in the end, the second Giga had disappeared, and the other one tried to save himself on a cliff. I don't know if that's a breach of the rules, because the /unstuck command has now been introduced. But, whatever. So it went on to avoid our inevitable death. Oh, great. A family. Sure, I'll definitely attack them. My soul is not made for this game. I already have a guilty conscience when I eat a berry bush or drink a water hole dry. We could slaughter this baby knowing how long they take to grow up. So Smill spontaneously decided on Plan B and jumped straight onto the Megalania. Really straight away. Unfortunately, the beast is far too fast, so I watched the fight until I decided it was stupid to just sit around. Smile could die later, just because I don't take the Meg seriously. No, off with my lazy backside. In the end, the endeavor was nonsense anyway, because most semi-aquatic animals naturally retreat when in danger. So we'd better keep walking in search of prey that we can actually kill. Except for the long-necked baby, of course. And what can I tell you, friends? We started several more hunts that I won't show you here now, because I would probably be disinherited. But let me tell you, it was bad. This hunt against the T-Rex, for example, was particularly sad. Not because we didn't kill it, of course, but because the little one was totally traumatized afterwards. He wrote in the chat that he had already died 4 times and was terrified of being killed again. So it was clear to me that I would hang up this dream-destroying dinosaur and switch to my cuddly buddy, Bona. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be a particularly relaxed round for Smil, and I was going to have a lot of fun with Bona in one of the next episodes. You can look forward to that. For a brief moment, I really thought I had a déjà vu, and Smil would simply be destroyed again before we could find each other. But thank God, these tropes just wanted to say hello. Reunited at last. And while I was calmly eating my delicious, sun-ripened berries, a crocodile was feeding on my mouth. And it was that moment when she knew she f***ed up. A fierce battle broke out. We can be served directly in a fruit basket. And so, it came as it had to. Now that there's a waystone in the savannah, I was at least able to get Smil back as quickly as possible. But that was just the beginning. We decided to get Smil back up and started questing in the savannah. Some critics might say, how can you stay there if the crocodile is still there? To be honest, the crocodile was simply gone. And even after that, it stayed quiet. We then decided to go to the hot springs and carry on a megalania. She showed us that she was friendly, and Smil likes to start playing with people and fooling around. I joined the community, and we kept jumping from a stone into the water, like in a public outdoor pool. And then, the Meg probably thought to herself, I'm going to drown you. While I was still flying towards the water, she suddenly attacked. I was completely stunned. And then a message in the chat. Ah, how nice. A funny little chap. Hell knows a particularly nice place for people like that. But thank the gods, the Last Judgment came immediately in the form of 2 T-Rexes. Honestly, I almost can't believe they managed to kill the Meg. But who cares? I had a really good time. Thank you for your service to humanity. I will always keep you in my heart. Good. But now we have the problem that Smil has been thrown back in growth. So we went to a waystone again. This time, however, I decided against the savannah and made my way to the birch forest. There, I briefly annoyed 2 T-Rex. I love how confused people get when they hear noises they can't recognize. But well, on we go. Stay focused. Ah, great. The server is crashing again. This has been happening so often lately. It really drives you to despair. Back in the game, I was simply teleported to the desolated pass and was allowed to run the whole route again. We love it. 7 days later, we were finally able to find each other again. And so, the questing began again. You can tell it's going to be an exciting day. And believe me, how exciting and not at all shitty the whole thing was for both of us. Especially for Smil, who spent the whole evening being executed only to grow his bona out again like an endless déjà vu. And again on a berry bush should someone attack us. Something equally sausage-shaped and despicable. A Meg. And this time it went even faster. Because Smil could barely quest, before we arrived at the dried lake. These are the moments when I would like to spawn directly as something to destroy this Meg. But hey, where's my sporting spirit? And the Meg must have had a bit too much of it, because it went straight to the second round. That bastard chased me until my stamina was about to run out, and I could still hear her little typing kicks in the distance. So she was still looking for me for quite a while. As Smill so wisely said, the Bona is cursed, and I'm beginning to believe it. Smile was understandably fed up, and so I switched to my Patchy and took him back over the pathstone to the birch forest. We were also lucky that there were only herbivores in Green Hills. We were able to relax and soak up the sweetness of the little dinos that healed our battered souls. And that's how we met Khan, who was also hanging out there, and we invited him to join our group. The more protection, the better. Better for each and every one of us. The little potato wasn't allowed to join our group, but he was still a welcome traveler. Trouble on the way. Wow. Why can't it just be nice for once? Everything sucks again straight away. I really need therapy after this game. Which dinosaur is good at killing Capros? Let's think about it. I like to try everything. Write me your ideas in the comments. Short Waystone for a friend who also wanted to go to the super safe Green Valley area. And here we see again the not too big area of effect of the Spino. This has now been reduced in size, but WTF? Who designed this and thought, yes, that's a good thing? Smell also had a bit of joie de vivre back after all the trauma. And then Mission joined us. Thank God he wasn't far away. But as it was traditional that day, he was attacked directly. And so we ran like a wild pack straight in his direction. And then I arrived. It was a bit like picking up my child from Ball Paradise. The Dilo stood there, looked at us stupidly for a moment, and then just went into the forest. We laughed our heads off. That was simply the best collision we've ever had with a dinosaur, and it really lifted our spirits. I hope Smill sees the video too and can at least enjoy it. I'm getting a bit sentimental, but there really is nothing better than spending time with friends. Sure, well, the game went semi-well, but honestly, there are so many moments where you can laugh yourself to death, where you get annoyed or simply have fun with other players because you share the same sense of humor. That's really something special. And now, we're going to sweep up the pile of emotional crap and move on. In fact, we got through the gameplay completely unscathed, and the rest of the game was calm and fun. And even if it's hard, at some point it's time to say goodbye. And so it was my time to hop into my cozy little bed and take a nap. Thanks, Khan, Smill, and Mission for the gameplay. May your sleeves always stay dry when you wash your hands. And you, my dear viewers, stay crisp, and I'll see you next time.